Recording is started. Thank you to everyone who has called in on this college planning call. I'm here with just such a knowledgeable expert, Dale Price, with Access College America. And he is just such a wonderful resource in this space. I find that it's a really timely topic, not just because of the recent news and scandals, but I found out more from clients and now personally from family that finding the right college fit is an exhausting, emotional, really complex area, and one in which, just like with your finances, you would like to cue in a professional. And that's where I think Dale coming and talking with us today is really going to give us some great and profound insight. And it's also a huge financial purchase. So in any big financial transaction, you want to do your due diligence and do your homework. So with that, I'll give you a little intro into how I met Dale. Dale and I met working for a nonprofit. So not only is he knowledgeable, but he's also caring and giving. He's a triple threat. And, that just shows that he's dedicated to the community and also to providing education. So with that in mind, I would like to offer this educational seminar to you. First, some housekeeping. We are recording this for posterity, and so we can play it back, and you can listen to the great material that Dale's provided for us today. We are using WebEx, so any technology issues are solely in my camp because Dale uses a different platform, and I convinced him to use this one so it would be a little bit more compatible with some of my client base. So pardon me for the technology. And with that, I will cede over to Dale Price. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Dana. I'm very excited about doing this presentation. And let me go ahead and share my screen with you. So let's see here. Share content. Okay, so here's my screen. Okay, so you should be able to see my presentation right now. For those of you that, actually not right now, hold on one second. Here we go.
I can see it, looks beautiful.
Here it comes, there it goes, just about. Okay, presentation, so desktop mode, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for everyone that is joining. I'm Dale Price, very excited about doing this presentation for you all. And before we get started, I just want to kind of piggyback off of a little bit of what Dana was saying. You know, this is such an important topic, and it's an important topic that families need to start thinking about early because, recent studies show when it comes to college planning that 50% of students are dropping out their first year in college, 50%. And then out of everyone that graduates with a bachelor's degree, all right, 30% of students actually transfer from another university. And then the scariest statistic that I have is that, the average graduation rate these days, 6-year graduation rate is 50%. 50% of students are spending 6 years to graduate from college. So it's important, parents, that as we do this, as I share this information with you, that you really start thinking about what can your family do to make, to be strategic, to make deliberate planning so that your child does not fall into one of these statistics. So what I'd like to talk about in this overview is I'd like to give you all a very general overview on academic planning for selective programs. Now, I know many of you all that'll be tuning in, maybe you've got a child that may be considering the community college, a gap year, or maybe a school that is less selective, and that's great. The advice I'll be giving is going to primarily be for the selective schools, the flagship universities. I'll also let you know what decision-making factors are considered for admissions officers. I'll talk with you about my 5 award-winning essay tips, and then I'll also give you some advice for the SATs and ACTs. So definitely grab a pen and paper, take some notes because we've got a lot of really great content. And before we jump right into everything, I realize some of you all may not know who I am, so I'll go ahead and explain a little bit about who I am. So Access College America, we are a national provider for college planning guidance. I have been working in higher education since 2006. I am the former senior admissions officer from the Los Angeles Film School in Hollywood. So I literally have interviewed high school students from all over the world to go to college. I'm also the past president and scholarship chair of Texas Access Los Angeles. So I graduated from the University of Texas, but I like to point the scholarship chair out because when it comes to creating competitive award-winning scholarship applications, I'm the audience. So I have personally reviewed thousands of essays. I've seen the most common mistakes, and I have seen really great qualified students apply for scholarships, but because of common mistakes, they miss out. So I'll cover some of those mistakes during the essay. I know a lot of you all have heard about this recent scandal with Operation Varsity Blues, the admission scandal, and I think it's important to point out that I am an active member of the Higher Education Consultants Association, the Texas Association for College Admissions Counseling, and the Southern Association for College Admissions Counseling. So I subscribe to a very high level of ethics and guidelines in order to practice college consulting. My advice has been featured on television, so you can visit accesscollegeamerica.org, check out that advice. And I like to say that we are fully accessible and affordable. I see clients all over the country. My sessions are virtual using FaceTime, Skype, and Zoom. So as a college consultant family, this is what we do. If we're all in an airplane, your child is the pilot, you are the co-pilot, and I'm the GPS. So I'm a supplement to a guidance counselor. Let's jump right into things with academic planning in high school. Something I want you all to understand is strategy is key. You've got to start early with this. I just had a parent call me today. Her child is a junior. They want to apply to the flagship university. They haven't done any college planning yet. And after looking at everything the student has to bring to the table, there's a lot of gaps. There's a lot of missing items. And unfortunately, you can't really go back in time and say, I should have done this differently or I should have scheduled this. An admissions officer is going to look at all 4 years that a student is in high school. It's not just about following up and trying to figure things out the junior or the senior year. Freshman year is just as important. Now, when you're thinking about what are some things that my child can do as a freshman and a sophomore, with my clients, I focus on the first 2 years. It's very heavy with academic planning. So we look at the types of classes. We look at the rigor that's going to need to be selected to get into the selective schools. We focus a lot on activity planning, career development, looking at the different types of education that's out there, and really helping, really working with students to get plugged in, to go through self-reflection and self-discovery, and also figure out how to do high school well. The first 2 years, it's heavy on building relationships that are going to be long-lasting and beneficial, okay? And then also, we do a lot of financial positioning, which is one reason why I'm so excited to collaborate with Morgan Stanley on this call, because when you're looking at building an overall plan for college, one of the key things you have to think about is affordability, especially understanding that 50% of students are graduating college in 6 years, okay? So here are some key things that you can also do. Keep in mind that if your child is really setting their eyesight on some of the most selective schools, and these are schools that have less than a 35% acceptance rate, you're going to want to make sure that you build a 4-year plan that involves them taking maybe 8 to 12 AP courses. If they're looking at attending a flagship university, a lot of what we look for in that is between 5 and 8 or more, obviously, AP courses. Now, with these advanced placement courses that your student will be taking, make sure that you have them take maybe 1 or 2 subject tests as well. For example, for my families that I work with that have students that apply to Duke or Rice, A subject test is an additional test that is also required in order to apply for these programs, recommended or required. I usually classify them as the same thing. So subject test is key in making sure that you combine the subject test with the AP test they're going to be taking so that you can really kill two birds with one stone instead of studying for more than one subject at a time. Nowadays, selective schools are highly scrutinizing how students spend their summers. So summer leadership camps are a great way of really kind of beating the competition on paper, all right? I recommend attending free or low-cost summer programs. The second advice for summer programs are those that are merit-based, meaning that there's a benchmark that has to be met. They're not really just there for open enrollment, okay? And then also the third piece of advice for summer leadership camps is finding a camp that is in line with your students' interests. So if you've got a student that's really passionate about getting into journalism, look at a writing intensive camp. Or if you've got a student that's really interested in becoming a physician, look at going to a science camp. There's a lot of camps out there. They don't have to be expensive. Next, college visits. And again, this advice that I'm giving you right now is really for all 4 years. But I want to tell you about these college visits. You should be visiting colleges all 4 years that your child is in school. And I recommend attending the open house or the preview day, all right? There's normally only 2 of these a year, all right? And they're huge productions. They're on a Saturday. You've got the department heads there. You get to see all the buildings. You know, they really roll out the red carpet for you. The open house is different than the daily tour. Daily tours are maybe 2 hours long. It's normally a student showing you around. And the last daily tour I did, I saw buildings that I never would have even had classes in. All right. So they're just really, those are just really quick. You know, if you can't do an open house, then definitely do a daily tour. To book a college visit, what you'll do is you will go to the admissions website, you'll click on visit, you'll scroll down, and you'll look at the dates they have for the open house or the daily tour. So visiting a college campus is key. Scholarships. Your students should be applying for scholarships all 4 years, and actually well into the time that they're in college. I'm really excited to say if you visit accesscollegeamerica.org, that's my website, I've already done a lot of the hard work for you and just uploaded over 100 scholarships that are open to high school students. So there are scholarships out there for freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, and things like that. And again, going back to career building and self-exploration. The resources tab on our website does a good job of that. There's free resources out there to help your student identify really what is it that they're interested in, what are they good at. And because this is one of the most precious decisions that you're ever going to make, where to send your child to school. And it's one of the hardest decisions that your child's going to go decide. They're a teenager. It's hard to put that much to put that much pressure on them. So doing a little bit of career building, a little bit of scholarship search, a little bit of college visits, doing summer camps, making sure that your child is set up for success by selecting the right amount of rigor in high school. These things all really help. Always refer to a professional when you're scheduling tests, those ACTs, SAT tests, subject tests. Speak with the professional. Make sure that it's the right time for them, and also when selecting the courses. Finding the right college fit requires 3 things. You have to find a school with the right academics, a school with the right social factor, and a school that is affordable. These 3 things. Now, for those that are tuning in right now that have juniors and maybe they're sweating a little bit because this is a big year and this is the decision-making year, college list building, I want to circle back with that. At this point, you should have a list of about 15 schools that you've looked at. At this point, since it is April of the junior year, we narrow that list down to between 6 and 8 schools that fit the criteria that I just mentioned. Those 6 to 8 schools is going to be a balanced list, okay? Meaning that the 6 to 8 schools, they offer the right academics, They offer the right social groups and clubs and organizations, and it's affordable, meaning that you have ran the numbers on these schools. You know you can afford them. You know how much they offer in terms of grants, scholarships, loans. You're not waiting until you get the financial aid award letter to determine whether or not you can actually afford these programs. These schools you have vetted out and you know what you need to in order to put them on the list. Now, this 6 to 8 schools, all right, I want to go back. A balanced list means that you have at least 2 or 3 schools on this list that you are more than 50%. You have more than a 50% chance at getting admitted into. 2 or 3 of those schools are going to be considered a target school, meaning that you have a 50% chance at getting admitted into. And then 2 or 3 of those schools will be considered a reach, meaning that you have less than a 50% chance at getting admitted into. That is a balanced list. So you want to have schools that you are likely to get into, schools that you are a target for, and schools that are going to be considered a reach. As a rising senior, it's game on. The essay work gets done during the summer, and you want to spend August, September, and October submitting your applications and applying early action for all of these schools. Once you have submitted your applications, once you have received your acceptance letters, the work isn't done, family. That is an opportunity for you to get your financial aid award letter and file appeals, negotiate financial aid award letters, do these final college visits, and really encourage your child to fight senioritis and strong. Decision day is May 1st, and that is the day that you need to have your deposit paid and advise the school of your decision. That is the timeline in a nutshell. Let's move on to the essays. So I love working with my families on writing the personal essay as a former scholarship chair and someone that still serves on scholarship committees. This is for me, this is such a fun thing to do. So, when an admissions officer, let me explain to you the role of the essay. When an admissions officer is looking at a student application, college application, 50% of our decision is based off of the transcripts, okay? How did you perform? What type of rigor did you expose yourself to? 40% of our decision is going to be based off of those standardized test scores, the SATs and the ACTs. And then 10% of our decision is going to be based off of these supplemental material, the essays, the letters of recommendation, the resume, all things like that, okay? So that's where these essays come into play, because this is quite possibly one of the single most effective things that your child can work on right now if they want to really showcase some of their strengths. The purpose of the essay is, and I say this and it's going to sound corny, but it's to be the window into your child's soul. You are supposed to give something to the reviewer they cannot find anywhere else in the college application. This is how you build an award-winning personal essay, okay? First of all, you need to understand your audience, all right? These are admissions officers. They're looking to find the best fit for their program, all right? So again, give them something that they're not able to find anywhere else in your essay. Talk about your core values. Talk about, show them that you have really spent time on this essay. Understanding your audience is really important. I have read so many essays, and there's so many common mistakes, and this is what I want you to focus on. Make sure the second thing you do, all right, because I'm giving you 5 essay tips. The second thing you should do is, and keep in mind, I told you all 4 years you should be visiting colleges, and you should also write down your thoughts. Because when you write these essays, you want to pull content from those visits. You want to talk about the school traditions. You want to talk about faculty members. You want to talk about technology and labs, things you learned on the tour. Incorporate that into these essays. Let the reviewer feel like you wrote this for them, because you should be. The third tip that you need to do is, again, offer new insight for reviewers. I talked about this just a minute ago. When it comes to writing these essays, again, oftentimes you can get a beautifully well-crafted essay. There's no typos, no grammatical mistakes, but it's completely off point, off message. Or maybe these essays, a lot of times, they're reiterating what you've already mentioned in the essay, or I'm sorry, in the college application, which is one of my essay tips, is not to repeat things that you have already talked about in your essay. And also, do not, another mistake that students make is, they go into facts that the admissions officer already knows. So for example, I had a client recently who was applying to NYU, and I got the essay, and the essay was just like, they had wrote the essay from the frequently asked page on the school's website. It was a bunch of information that the admissions officer already knew about their program. And this was a student saying why they wanted to go to school there. Do not reiterate these college fics. You need to dig deeper than this. And then my final tip is, there's so many overused topics. Stay away from talking about being the athlete that was the quarterback scoring the winning touchdown. Stay away from divorce. Try to steer clear from study abroad, meaning, did you travel and have a wonderful experience? That's also an overused topic. Another overused topic are mission trips. Another overused topic is mission trips, study abroad, things like this. A challenging circumstance that really isn't a challenge. Now, let me explain this for a minute. If you are going to write about study abroad, or if you are going to write about a mission trip, or if you are going to write about a divorce, it is important that you phrase it in a very novel, unique way. Admissions officers are reading tons of essays every single day. Your challenge is to stand out and to be memorable. So if you write, for example, about a study abroad trip, I had a client recently that wrote about that. They talked about getting lost overseas, and they talked about using their problem-solving tactics and strategies to end up getting back with the group. So that's different than just talking about visiting and all the fun stuff that you did. So again, understanding your audience, knowing what they're looking for, talking about college visits in your essay so that they know that this is a custom essay for them. I say this to my clients: you should really set aside between 10 and 20 hours on this essay. To apply to college and to get the job done right, it's going to take you about 6 weeks, all right? Once again, all the more reason why you do not want to wait until you're a senior to start working on all of this kind of stuff, all right? And my final piece of advice in terms of these essays is craft. A great essay needs to show that it has spent time, that there's no common mistakes, it's novel, it's insightful, it's exciting, you're sharing information you can't find anywhere else. So craft is a big one. Let's talk a little bit about the SATs and the ACTs. Here's my 5 tips for the SAT and the ACT. First of all, start early. You can go ahead and take practice SATs and ACTs as early as 8th or 9th grade. Identify a benchmark. Get that set first and take both, the PACT and the PSAT, all right? So get a benchmark, and then from that part, look at doing test prep and practice tests a little bit, all right? The second point that I want to make is academic planning means planning ahead, and this goes back to families that are really on time, meaning they're starting to think about college planning their freshman and their sophomore year. They are building a 4-year curriculum for their students so that the students are getting plugged in with the right level of classes to perform well on the SATs. The SAT, for example, covers Algebra 1, Algebra 2, geometry, a little bit of trigonometry, and a very, very little bit of pre-calculus. So when you're looking at building an academic plan, make sure that your student actually has access to these classes so they can do well, okay? The third thing that I recommend is understanding the platforms. The majority of the students I work with, even if they haven't been able to get to pre-cal, the number one struggle students have is timing. It's all getting, preparing for these tests practicing with these tests, building your confidence on these tests, understanding test strategies, learning that finishing early is not always really something you should be bragging about, okay? So timing is key. The fourth tip I have, and this is because I work with a lot of athletes, you should really try to be finished with these tests by going into your rising junior year, because recruiters are going to want to see these scores, okay? So try to get these tests done sooner than later so that your junior year, as recruiters are visiting, as you're marketing yourself to recruiters, you are able to share with them what your score is. And then the fifth tip that I have is, again, always refer to a professional before registering. I can't tell you right now how many families I get. I get parents calling me, they've got juniors, they've got sophomores, they haven't referred to any professional advice, and they're taking the wrong test, and they're taking it at the wrong time. They're either taking it too early or they're taking it too late. So this standardized test is 40% of an overall admissions officer's decision. So make sure that you actually are consulting with someone professional before you actually do that. Just want to wrap up a few things in closing. I want to say that I currently am accepting clients nationwide. We are affordable and accessible. Some of the services that I offer include a la carte hourly sessions, comprehensive packages, those families that have a budget, which is great. I also offer very small budget I offer very small budget friendly blocks as well with payment plans. And if you're interested in having your child work with me on career building, academic planning, scholarship assistance, college list building, these are some of the things that I do. As a free gift for everybody that's watching this right now, if you like Access College America on Facebook, send me a message. You can send that in the inbox, and I'll send you a resume template that your child can use when they apply to college, or if it's an internship or a job. So follow Access College America on Facebook. Send us a message. I'll send you that resume template. Don't forget to check out our website, accesscollegeamerica.org. There's tons of free resources on there and over 100 scholarships that your student can look up and go ahead and start applying for. And finally, if you do want to learn more about working with me, then I'm offering free consultations. They're 30 minutes, and that's when I talk about my pricing, my packages, my guarantees, how we work, and all of my sessions are virtually. So we'll do this on FaceTime, Skype, or Zoom. And in closing, I want to thank Morgan Stanley and Dana for giving me the opportunity to share advice on college planning with you all. You have to understand that college planning nowadays, it's all a big game. You have to understand how the system works. Times have changed. When I went to school, I attended the University of Texas. As long as we had the grades and we had the test scores, we got in. But it's a different playing field now, and in order to beat the competition, you have to understand the new rules, all right? So thank you so much, Dana, and I want to thank you all for tuning in and listening, and I'll go ahead and hand over the controls back over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dale. Thank you for all the information you provided with us today. Just like we plan for our retirement, we plan for our vacations, we plan for everything else. This is something that really is important to plan for. Me personally, I did not go to a university in the U.S., so all of this is new to me even. But seeing my niece go through it is it's really eye-opening. Just how rigorous this process is, and how confusing it can get. So everyone needs a guide in their life. So I thank you very much for providing some of your guidance. I've been on your website looking for scholarships and things like that. So appreciate very much you taking the time, sharing your knowledge, and I hope everyone found this very useful. I'll be, again, archiving this and can send it out if you'd like to review it. But take care and have a good evening.